Hey guys, it's Missy Wolf, and I'm here with Tommy Roe. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Missy. It's so good to talk to you.
You too. You definitely have an awesome background that I'm very excited to talk to you about. And you've written quite a few hit songs, but you're known as the father of bubblegum pop. And that's a term that I don't know that a lot of people necessarily in my generation have heard bubblegum pop. So can you explain what that is?
Well, I'll kind of explain how it happened for me. I went in the Army Reserves in 1964. I had two hits, Sheila and Everybody,
Hmm.
and then I went into the Army Reserve. So I was out of commission for all of 1964. Meantime, the British invasion was happening in America after the Beatles became so successful here.
Right.
All of these British acts started coming to the States, and they started pushing the American acts off the Billboard charts. So while I was in the service, I had time to think about what I was going to do about this. So I came up with the idea to change my style from rockabilly. I was considered a rockabilly artist when I started out,
Right.
and do what I call soft rock. So I wrote, while I was in the service, I wrote Sweet Pea. And when I got out, I recorded it, and that was my first effort at changing my style, and it turned out to be a top 5 record for me. It's a huge record.
Right.
So because of Sweet Pea appealing to the youngsters, which was basically the same audience the Beatles had, they decided to give me the tag King of Bubblegum. So they call me the Bubblegum Rock Artist. And the DJs kind of tagged me with this. And at first I resented it, because it was kind of a slight, But
Right. Right.
after a while, I just figured, well, it's better to be the king of something than the court jester. So so
Right.
I embraced it, and I followed it up with Hooray for Hazel and Dizzy and Jam Up Jelly Tight. So I had a good string of bubblegum hits there, and that's how it all happened for me in a nutshell.
Right. That's awesome. And you mentioned you were in the service, so I want to just say thank you for that because definitely. I mean, I think veterans and everybody who goes and serves for our country, you guys all deserve a huge, huge amount of gratitude from this country because we wouldn't be where we are if it wasn't for people such as yourself. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much. That was a small effort on my part. Being in the reserves, we got called up twice for Vietnam. We went to Fort Lewis, Washington, and we're ready to go. And both times they canceled our trip. So I was very fortunate to not have to go to war, but I did what I thought was my duty anyway. So
Absolutely. And
but thank you so much. Yeah,
no,
thank you.
you're welcome. I just I love to recognize, when people are helping, humanity in any way that
Yeah,
they are, and I think that's great. And I mean, you've also helped humanity with musically, and you have
yeah.
23 Billboard Top 100 hits. Did you ever think in a million years that when you started out that this is something that you were going to achieve? That this is something like was this even a goal for you to be on that?
Well, I tell you, it was kind of, I wrote Sheila when I was 14 years old. So it was something that was a hobby for me. I wrote these little poems. I wrote a poem for a little girl in school that I had a crush on named Frida. It was called Sweet Little Frida.
Oh,
And then my dad taught me 3 chords on the guitar, and I thought, well, I put music to these poems, and maybe I can become a songwriter. I never dreamed about becoming a performer.
right.
So we changed the title of Frida to Sheila, and that was my first hit. So I actually wrote that when I was 14. And
Wow.
then I didn't really think I was much about it as a career until I followed it up with Everybody, and it became a number 3 record for me in Billboard. And then I started thinking, well, there might be something to this music business.
Right.
Maybe I could make a career out of it. So then I really started pursuing it, and I went into the service right after that, like I said. And then when I got out of the service, I moved to New York. And Dick Clark called me while I was living in New York and wanted me to be a regular on a new show he was producing in Hollywood called Where the Action Is. And he said, Tommy, come on out and do the show. We'll finish your segments in 6 months, and you can go back home to New York. Well, I flew out to Hollywood, to Los Angeles to do those shows, and I never went back to New York. That was it.
Oh my gosh.
As you know, living in California, it's
Yeah.
a very addictive environment and easy if you love to outdoors and skiing, and
Mhm.
it's all there for you. So that's how I happened to end up in Los Angeles.
That's awesome. And you know what, you're right. And the weather here is absolutely amazing pretty much all year round. And Snow is just a few hours away when you're in Southern
Right.
California, and the beach is right there. The only thing that's not addictive for me is the cost. The cost of living down here at the beach, I can't even tell you. It's crazy.
No, I know. I know.
It's insane.
I've lived there for a long time, and I've watched it skyrocket. But, there's negatives in every place you live. There's always negatives.
Oh, yeah.
Another thing about L.A. that it scares me all the time are the earthquakes. But, it's just something you learn to deal with and live
love
with.
them. I don't know why. I'm a weird one. I just love earthquakes. Yeah. My sister and I, we sat through the Northridge earthquake a while. Obviously it was in the 90s and
sure.
94. It was horrible. It was so horrible, but it was so much fun too. I don't know. But
that was a one. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But wow, well, you've got so many amazing things going on in your career, and I know that you just write a book, an autobiography. You released an autobiography.
I did. I have my book out. It's been a work in progress for about 3 to 5 years, and I finally, I'm such a perfectionist. I kept changing it back and forth, and then I also have a co-writer, Michael Krikorian, who was fantastic at rejiggering my memory for things and bringing out things in my life that would be interested in the book. So it's called From Cabbagetown to Tinseltown, and it's I grew up in a working class neighborhood here in Atlanta called Cabbagetown, just on the outskirts of Atlanta at that time, and still working class neighborhood. And we lived there till I was about 6 years old, and we moved to the West End. So I grew up on the West End of Atlanta, and that's where I started my music career. Right. And then of course, I moved out to L.A. And so the book covers from my childhood on up to the present, and all of the interesting things that happened in my life through the years, and people I've toured with. And, what I've tried to do also is parallel the music business, or my part of the music business, with the culture of our country and how music influenced the culture and politics so much through the years. So it's not a sex, drugs, and rock and roll book, so it might not appeal to all the folks out there, but I was trying to take it to another level, and talk about something a little bit different and a little bit more interesting.
Well, I think that's great. And where can people find your book? Is it online?
Well, yes, you can order it from my website, TommyRoe.com. That's if you want an autographed copy. You can order it from Amazon on Kindle, or you can order a book from Amazon as well.
Okay.
And so that's the main. But I think it's more in other book, like the other book venues as well. You can order it, but mainly Amazon and my website, TommyRoe.com.
Perfect. Well, we will make sure that we have all the links set up to go with this, so that everybody who's listening can just easily find you and what you have going on.
Right.
And, do you have anything coming up that you want to tell everybody before we go?
Well, what I've been doing to promote the book, which is kind of interesting, a couple of weeks ago I did a thing at Fresno State University, and the book thing is really different for me, because usually I just go do concerts, but
right.
Promoting the book, I went to Fresno State University in the music department there at the college, and spoke to the students about the 60s. They're all very interested in the history of music from the 60s. So, I would I did a Q&A with that, and then I sang six of my songs, and then I closed my show out with Busy and Everybody, which I did with the student band. And so it was a lot of fun, and really kind of a different thing for me to do. So I'm doing a lot of these. I'm doing a lot of book promotions in bookstores, and of course I'm still doing my concerts. I have my next concert is in May 13th at the Civic Center in Marietta, Georgia. So
awesome.
And my fans can see my schedule on my website, again, TommyRoe.com, and just click on the appearances link, and it'll tell you where I will be. Maybe I'll be in their neighborhood, in
you never know. All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. And I am so sorry that my schedule was all crazy this morning, and that I,
Don't worry about it. It was wonderful to talk to you, Missy. And
you too. Thank you.
Look forward to seeing the article. Thank you.
Absolutely. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.